Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to another StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm video. Today it is time to take a look at a little bit of a longer game. I do realize that pretty much every time I upload StarCraft 2, and especially when I do game analysis videos, I do games that are maybe, 10 to 15 minutes long. So we definitely really get to see all that much endgame, and honestly that's how the average amount of my games go. However, every now and then I feel like it's a good time to actually upload a longer game, so make sure, you get your coffee ready, you get your tea ready, or whatever you drink, and just sit back. Because we're gonna take, I believe, 26 in-game minutes or so to watch this game, which is like, I don't know, like 15, 20-ish minutes in like normal lifetime. It still doesn't really make a whole lot of sense now I think about it, that the game StarCraft 2 is actually being run in faster speed instead of normal. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, Blizzard seconds are going by faster than normal seconds. Anyways, today we got a bit of a longer game on King Sejong Station in a Zerg vs Protoss that I played, I believe, 2 days ago of me uploading this video. This was indeed played on a live stream. And I was playing a bit of a crazy strategy mostly. Like sometimes it's good to mix it up a little bit, but honestly, on King Sejong, I think this strategy that I'm gonna go for isn't really all that bad. What I'm gonna go for is like an ultra late game with all kinds of Ultralisks and maybe some Brood Lords as well. We'll see them very shortly. So here we go. I'm gonna open up with a hatchery first, a bit risky versus a Protoss player, but like I said, it is King Sejong Station, and King Sejong Station obviously being pretty much the longest rush distance on the entire, in the entire map pool right now. So I figured, if any map I'm gonna go hatchery first on without drone scouting, it is definitely going to be this one. And I'm not completely sure. I don't remember if I also went for 3 hatch before pool. Now it looks like I'm actually gonna get the, I'm actually gonna get the spawning pool right there. So hatch into a spawning pool, scouting with my overlords, not going for the drone scout, just accepting the fact that if my opponent cannon rushes, I am most likely gonna be dead, but I'm okay with that. Every 10th game or so when that happens, I'm like, alright, whatever. So here we go, I scouted my opponent, went for a Nexus first. You can see it right there already being half done, right around the 3-minute mark. Well, not quite half done, but a little bit less than half. And that is definitely a site of a Nexus first. So what I decided to do is instantly send the drone to the third base. Even though this is not really like a build order-ish anymore, it's just a response to what I scouted right there. And I do realize that my queens aren't gonna line up as nicely, but it will just give me a little bit more economy in a little bit. So, even though no build order will ever say, okay, go for a hatchery into a spawning pool, into a hatchery, and then queens, like, nobody is ever gonna write that down. This is a proper response to what I scouted so far. Now, obviously, this means I'm going to be playing Macro. I haven't seen him scout with any probes, so I'm a little bit worried about him cannon rushing my third base potentially right now. So I really want to have a look at it, but I figured, if he isn't going to be scouting early on, he's likely thinking that this is a 100% safe build, so he's probably not going to be scouting at all during this game, or not until he has, like a Phoenix, like a hallucinated Phoenix out, or maybe an Observer, things like that. So here we go. I'm gonna be scouting right there with a set of drones, or actually, what was that? Was that a drone? I think it was a drone. I'm not completely sure, but I'm gonna be scouting at my third in a little bit, see if I can, if I still have to cancel it. Looks like I haven't timed it correctly, however, but it turns out not to really matter in this game. Oh, it was the queen I sent over there. All right, that makes sense. So, for the time being, I know for a fact that my opponent went for a Nexus first, a very economically focused opener, and I know for a fact because of that he is not going to move across the map for at least like another 4-ish minutes, okay? I'm gonna have to do some scouting, obviously, but there's not gonna be a big-ass, 2-base all-in coming until, let's say, the 9-minute mark-ish. So I know for a fact, for now, I can just make drones, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I haven't even made a set of Zerglings yet, just making 100% drones, just trying to be safe. I'm gonna do some scouting with my overlords. Now I have 3 overlords on his side of the map that are gonna give me most information that I need, and I should be starting my double gas right now. It's the 6-minute mark, 44 supply has been hit, so I decided to go for the double gas geyser right there in the natural. Now on the production tab, we can see that the Vibe, or the Stargate is already about, yes, actually almost about to be finished up already. And that is a bit risky. I honestly should have scouted a little bit earlier with my overlords, because it might very well mean that I will not see this scent, or this, what is it called, the Oracle come out. I do realize, however, that the gases are a little bit late. They're around 6.5 minutes in his natural. That's a little bit later than normal. But all the chrono boost is spent, so I'm not really too worried. But I do not think that I will scout the actual thing in time. Now, oracles, if left untouched, yeah, there we go. I don't see the actual Stargate. I don't even know where it was. Let's have a look. Oh, it's right there, actually. Wow. It's actually literally quite next to my vision. But oracles, if left undone, they will be able to do a ton of damage right now. And me not scouting it means that this sort of stuff happens. Now, luckily for me, he's actually target firing down my queen. And he can kill a queen one-on-one. But, you know, it didn't kill as many drones or as many workers as he could have. Now, don't think though that it wasn't enough, because he already killed 6 right there, 7, 8, 9, and a queen. Keep that in mind. So this oracle paid for itself because it also manages to get out. And at the same time, I right now scout that my opponent already has the third. Whew, actually I have to sneeze right there. I managed to mute my microphone. Well done, well done. So right now, I'm in a little bit of panic mode, okay? Right now, I'm like, oh snap, he killed a lot of drones, he killed a worker, he killed my fourth, or my queen, he killed pretty much everything. I'm gonna need a fourth base and just sort of play a risky strategy. His third base allows him to get too many units out that I will not be able to deal with. So what I decide to do is a risky strategy. I decide to go straight into a... well, you can see it right there, the Spire. The Spire is amazing for making Mutalisks, but it leaves you vulnerable for the time being that the Spire is not out, okay? I'm not gonna really be able to do anything if my opponent moves across the map right now. So, you know, I'm gonna have to try and play it as safe as possible, which isn't really possible with this exact build. So what I decided to do is just be as greedy as possible, accept the fact that I might get defeated very soon, but accepting the risk as well, you know, that I have a potential of winning right now. At this point in the game, I guess my chances are very, very, very small. They're very, very, very small, simply for the fact that my opponent already had the third base out. He killed a lot of workers. Let's see how many he killed in total. Yeah, 9. So if you take a look at the income tab, he is definitely, you know, he's definitely in a great, great position right there. Now, as you can see, I am gonna go also for a 5th base right now. I made drones for the 4th base, and I'm gonna start the gas mining of it instantly. Spire is about to finish up. I'm gonna start a ton of Mutalisk as soon as I can. But obviously, you know, you gotta keep in mind that even with a couple Mutalisk out, I'm not gonna be able to kill a near maxed out or, you know, a near 150 supply Protoss army that will be able to move across the map very shortly. So what I'm gonna try and do is use the Mutalisk and the Zerglings to basically make sure that my opponent stays in his mid-natural and in his third base. I do not want him to move across the map at this point in the time, because if he moves across the map right now, I'm likely dead. And the only way I could be winning here is by counter-attacking. And I don't really want to counter-attack yet, because I really need to have a bigger army out first. So you already see the infestation pit go up, you see my 5th base going up as well, you see me double upgrading the melee upgrades as well as the +1 ranged upgrade for the Mutalisk. And I'm just gonna try and contain my opponent. Here we go, getting a free sentry kill, that is always nice. And I'm just trying to be, you know, as annoying as possible. As long as my opponent stays in his natural, I have a chance of winning. If he decides to move out, I'm gonna go straight for the counter-attack. But it looks like my opponent has decided to stick in this game for a little while longer. He's only at 120 supply right now. So he's just gonna try and play as much macro as possible. Now, meanwhile, you can see the greed starting to pile up, right? If you take a look at my production tab, it is very, very long. You usually don't really see that at this point in the game for a Zerg player. But I'm getting pretty much all the upgrades that I need. 5th base is about to finish. Gonna start my hive very shortly. As long as I have the gas for it. Actually, I could have started it right now. Come on, Loco! It looks like I'm actually gonna start +2/+2 first. Oh no, there we go, canceling +2, and then switching into the hive instead. Now here we go. My opponent actually has a ton of stalkers out there on the high ground, giving him a couple of kills right there, which isn't the worst. But I'm just, you know, trying to buy time. Once again, that is my most important thing to do right now. What I'm trying to do is tech up to this thing called Ultralisk. Ultralisk are probably one of the strongest Zerg units you have, especially when they have +1 or +3 even, +3 upgrades on them. Because +3/+3 Ultralisk really have like a craziest armor in the game that they nullify a ton of the damage, but they also have obviously the craziest amount of attack. Now usually Ultralisk do not really synchronize very well with Zerg units, okay? Usually, you know, if you play like Roach Hydra into Ultralisk, the Ultralisk are just gonna get stuck. But however, Mutalisk into Zergling into Ultralisk really don't line up very, very well. They just synchronize very well and they work together well, whereas Hydra Ultra really doesn't work that well all the time. Here we go, I'm gonna be dancing a little bit with a couple of Phoenixes that he has. He has 5 Phoenixes out right now. versus 24 Mutalisks. Technically he could kill it, but obviously there's gonna be always a little bit delay on the Battle.net servers, so you know, he likely won't be able to. He managed to get actually a couple of kills on them right there, and I'm gonna add on a couple of Corruptors. The reason why I'm adding on Corruptors right now is to make sure that my Mutalisks stay alive, okay? If I lose all my Mutalisks right now, that will be awful. Definitely do not want that. Hive is already done, however. I really need to start upgrading very soon, but here we go. I'm gonna start doing some trading. I know I can take this fight. There's only a couple of Stalkers, really. Gonna be able to target fire down the Colossus, and I'm just trying to deal as much damage as possible. Now, even though that fight didn't look that amazing, I managed to basically stop being maxed out, and I allow myself to keep on fighting. Now, whoops, looks like my recording cut off right there, but it looks like we are back as well. At this point, I'm just finishing up all of my upgrades, and it looks like my opponent is moving across the map. If you take a look at the everyone cam, he's just about to engage my 4th base. This is a little bit of the tricky engagement right here. I need to make sure that I take this engagement properly. This game, or this point, is basically game deciding right now. Now, looks like I managed to get a free kill right there on the Colossus, which is absolutely huge. But my opponent is gonna very shortly move towards my natural. And as long as I manage to defend right here, we should be fine. But here we go. I'm running the Zerglings across the map, because I didn't think he would move up the ramp that quickly. I'm a little bit indecisive. He gotta try and actually start doing my upgrades. One upgrade going down, and I'm just trying to engage as many units as possible, taking the Colossus out of the equation. My opponent tried to hallucinate a couple more, and I am just attack moving up this ramp, trying to corrupt whatever I can corrupt right now with my Corruptors, and it looks like I managed to clean up that army right there, but just barely will be able to get my natural. Yeah, he actually does get my natural right there as well, which is a bit of a problem right now for me. However, most of the drones stayed alive. Let's have a look at how many workers got killed in total. 23, which is a big amount obviously, but in total I still have 70 Harvesters. So everything considered, also obviously from that Oracle from earlier in the game, everything considered, it could be a whole lot worse. So what I'm deciding to do right now is get my Ultimate out. 9 are just about to pop. And here we go. Where are they? Where are they, Loco? Bum bum ba-da-dum bum ba-da-dum bum ba-da-dum. Yeah. They're my Ultimate Scar with that sexy Heart of the Swarm, what is it? Collector's Edition or whatever. Skin that they have, and I'm gonna start moving across the map. Right now, my goal is to simply deny my opponent of ever having a 4th base. A 4th base will be able to kill me. As long as he does not manage to get one, I'm gonna be in a great position. Now, it looks like my opponent is doing actually pretty good job right now, hard countering the army that I have. He is going for, you know, a lot of Archons in there, a couple of Immortals we saw as well as Zealots, which are all very good against the army composition that I'm having of Ultralisks and Zerglings, because they just sort of wreck it. So right now, you know, I'm just going for the 4th base, making sure that my opponent does not have it, but in the meantime, I'm also losing a lot of Mutalisks, so this is still a little bit risky, and this still could be his game if I end up losing too many units. However, I'm gonna move back home, and I'm trying to think right now of a counter for his units. We could see that he was currently missing out, you know, Archons and Immortals and, you know, all kinds of units that hard counter my Ultralisks. And I do know for a fact that if he manages to max out with that army, I'm gonna have a very hard time beating him. So what unit counters that army composition properly? I don't want to stick on these Ultras for too long, because I know that likely they're gonna get killed if I'm not careful. So what I'm gonna do very shortly is start it right there. Bum-ba-da-dum. Oh, well, it didn't start it quite yet. Come on, Loco, start that Great Aspire, because I want to be making some Brute Lords. The Brute Lords obviously are going to be absolutely crucial in engaging this army. If I manage to get the Brute Lords out, I will be able to basically counter the counter of my army, which is the Immortal, Archon, Zealot sort of stuff, because, well, none of the units that he currently has will shoot up to be able to kill Great Aspire units. Now, I am not completely sure actually why I didn't start it yet. I really should try and be starting it. Gonna try and attempt a little bit of a run by right here. Looks like he's actually already warping an army. Whew, quick reaction right there by me, managing to actually get that surround. Great Aspire starting, but I still have these units right here, so I think what I'm gonna do is try and do a little bit of a sandwich. What I want to achieve here is to make sure that 100% of the time he will not be having a 4th base. The 4th base is the one way he could come back into this, as well as him maxing out on it. And, you know, me just making sure that that does not happen will allow me to win this game a little bit later on. Now, I'm trying to do as much damage as possible. And I'm obviously also keeping my Corruptors alive. The Corruptors are the ones that need to be morphed into Brute Lords. And I'm just keeping those alive, and at the same time killing the 4th base. So everything is still going according to plan. I just have to keep alive a little bit longer. Now, if you take a look at the unit of the opponent's army composition, okay? He does have a bunch of Stalkers, sure, but those will get countered by the Ultras and the Zerglings pretty hard. And other than that, he actually doesn't have very much. Now, as you can see, he is producing a couple of Immortals, because he's assuming I'm gonna stay at this Ultralist tech. But at the same time, I'm already getting my Broodlords out. Great Aspire just about to finish up. I also took his 5th base right there, just to make sure that I, you know, have some extra mining going on and, you know, also deny him some mining. Maybe the creep will never dissipate from the base, who knows. And I might as well take that base. And I am going to be morphing in 7 of these beautiful creatures. Oh, Loco, where are they? 7 of these beautiful creatures right here. Good Broodlords. Now, the army that my opponent has does not kill this at all, okay? So, you know, right now I'm a little bit hesitant on what is going on, but I know that if I manage to max out with his army, which is just about to happen, I will have a pretty easy time. Getting my +3 armor right now as well as +3 flyer attacks, which is absolutely amazing. For anyone wondering, the Broodlords benefit from the +1 or +3 attack a lot. Basically, the initial impact of the Broodlings is measured by the flyer attack upgrades, whereas the actual damage dealing of the Broodlings is measured by the +1/+1 melee upgrades that my units have, or +3/+3 by the time they are out. So, you know, your Broodlords benefit both from the flyer upgrades as well as the actual melee upgrades that I already have out. And I'm gonna start nuking down his 4th base. Or his natural, rather. I just now realized as well that my opponent does not have a 4th base. So all I need to do right now is clean him up. I know for a fact that there's no 4th base out anywhere on the map. So as long as I go for the counter attack, I should be in a great position. So while I realize that he is leaving his natural, I am gonna go for the counter attack and try to kill all of his bases. Now he is gonna run to my side of the map because he knows that he cannot engage my army head on right now. He knows that if he's gonna try that and even attempt it, he is likely just gonna lose them without even getting close to my bases. Now, I realized the same thing, and I know that I'm still maxed out on 200. So what I do instead of going for the attack, I am just gonna go for his bases. Cleaning up all of his stuff will allow me to win the game a little bit later, but we gotta be a bit careful. He's already at my natural. He does have a pretty sizable army, and if he gets into a nice choke, these Archons will be able to deal tons and tons and tons of damage. So while I'm cleaning up this army, I am gonna have to move back a little bit because I don't want him to just clean me up. Gonna remake my Ultralist Cavern and my spawning pool in another base. Also just making a couple of the buildings again just to make sure that I don't get all of my tech reset. And honestly, what I should be doing right now is expand all over the map a little bit more aggressively. There's no reason for me not to take his natural right now. I really should be doing that, but a bit of a mistake on my side. Still a big engagement going on, and I decide to send my melee army back home while the Ultralisk are cleaning, or my Broodlords are cleaning up the last of his buildings, as you can see. Currently, my opponent does have barely any units out. He's actually remaking a Nexus right there. Don't think I ever scouted that during this game. But I am gonna try and clean up the army that my opponent has. This is the final stand. As you can see, I still have a ton of resources in the bank, so I will be able to, you know, make a couple of units again if I need to. But I'm just trying to do as much damage as possible. As long as I manage to engage the army right here head on, I should have a pretty easy time. What I could also do is wait for the Broodlords to come in, but I really don't want to risk it. I'm just gonna start A-moving on top of my opponent, and it looks like I will be able to clean up the fight. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you didn't like it, make sure you hit the dislike button. But whatever you do, make sure to subscribe, because I will be having a lot more StarCraft 2 upgrades in the very near future. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.